ThinkTech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech and to Hawaii. I'm Elise Anderson.
And I'm Nicole Horry.
In our show this time, we'll cover the Pacific Telecommunications Council, PTC, an annual telecom conference that takes place in Hawaii. This year it was called PTC 18, PTC's 40th anniversary, Connecting Worlds.
PTC is a platform for more than 1,000 leaders from telecom companies, governments, military, humanitarian groups, academia, and emergency services from 50 countries around the world.
PTC occupies a unique place in global telecom. An international non-governmental membership organization, PTC has become a center for telecom technology in Asia Pacific and beyond.
It's a nonprofit promoting the advancement of information and communication technologies, ICT, in the Pacific Rim, the most dynamic area in the world today.
Organized in 1978, PTC held its first annual conference in Honolulu in 1979. It was incorporated as a Hawaii nonprofit in 1980.
Through PTC's annual conferences, committees, and events, PTC brings telecom leaders together to share insights on industry trends, strategies, policy, regulation, and best practices, as well as new technologies, products, and services.
PTC 18 celebrated PTC's 40th anniversary. Thousands of members and industry attendees showed up to share and explore the transformational shifts in global telecom. PTC customarily meets at the Hilton Hawaiian Village for a major 4-day conference, and this year was no exception.
At PTC 18, there were meetings, keynotes, and breakouts covering every subject of interest to the telecom industry. It also served, as before, as a platform for industry members to negotiate global telecom deals right here in Hawaii.
PTC 18's kickoff was on a Sunday. It included PTC's Board of Governors and Advisory Council meetings and industry workshops, roundtables, and briefings, especially on submarine cable, the current backbone of world interconnectivity.
When PTC was founded 40 years ago, satellite communications throughout the Pacific and the world were fundamental to connectivity. Since then, developments in cable have resulted in a shift of data traffic from satellite to cable. These cables are now critical infrastructure.
We are in a time of disruption where innovative technology, the rise of digitization, and the laws of accelerating growth are redefining economics in every industry, especially including telecom. AI, cybersecurity, the Internet of Things, 5G, and the cloud are the keys to our future.
At PTC 18, they talked about the digital divide and how information and communication technologies, ICTs, can address economic disparities. The lesson is that ICT applications, from sky streaming to participatory radio, can now overcome the last mile using low-cost technologies and can narrow the digital divide.
Monday went even further. First, there were welcoming remarks from Sharon Nakama, PTC's CEO, and Anthony Rasabi, chair of its Board of Governors.
Attendees discussed digital transformation for connecting worlds. The transformation in new software-defined virtualized networks requires new business models. What strategies should operators adopt in new competitive markets?
The beat continued Monday afternoon and on Tuesday, where industry leaders engaged in a roundtable called My Head Hurts, What Does It All Mean? They talked about synergies among AI, the Internet of Things, 5G, and the cloud.
Are these technologies only parts of disjointed incremental development, or do they signify a comprehensive sea change for the 21st century? What are we creating with our massive buildup of data centers, ultra-broadband, and pervasive terrestrial, undersea, and space interconnection? Is there a new global telecom brain emerging?
There were also topical sessions on data transport, including state-of-the-art optical data transmission, on shared access for Pacific Island countries starved for capital, and on steps being taken in cybersecurity and privacy in Hawaii to achieve uninterrupted access even in a time of continuing cyber attacks.
On Wednesday, it went on from there. PTC 18, as in years past, was chock-a-block with the most far-reaching, if not visionary, discussions about current telecom technologies and the policy, regulation, and business of telecom worldwide.
These discussions were timely and central in the global context right here in Hawaii. PTC 18 was impressive and showed yet again the magnet Hawaii has become for telecom leaders from around the world.
seniority and expertise of the people on the floor was evident. So many big national and international companies you've heard about, and so many others you will surely hear about in the future.
The winners of PTC's Innovation Awards were announced, recognizing companies who have transformed the industry. The winners were Packet Fabric, Aquacoms, Geeks Without Frontiers, Telstra, Telecom Sans Frontières, and Cloudflare.
The Dick Barber Distinguished Service Award, he was a founder of PTC, was presented to Klaus Guldenfenig of Redcom. 2 scholars received the Maheru Jasawala and Yale Brownstein Research Awards, and 6 international PhD candidates were recognized for their telecom research.
PTC 18 didn't miss much. The multiple sessions went on for 4 days in mind-boggling depth and detail. It was world-class, an engineer's dream in technology, connectivity, and data exchange for the mobile devices that make the world go round.
So as we often do, ThinkTech walked the floor to see how the conference was doing and to talk to the attendees and exhibitors who were there.
Here we are at the Hilton Hawaiian Village at the Pacific Telecommunications Conference 2018, the 40th such conference.
This is our second day of PTC. We had a fabulous day yesterday. We had a fabulous opening reception. And so everything is in full swing. Our plenary sessions start today. We've got a bunch of CEOs. It's going to be really exciting.
How would you distinguish this PTC from the other 39?
Well, one of the special things at this PTC is that all of the plenary sessions are CEO level executives.
Pihana actually started in 2000, and I was one of the first employees there. So we started building the data centers in Honolulu, Los Angeles, and then in Asia Pacific. In 2003, Pihana and Equinix merged, and Equinix at the time, and it still is, the largest data center provider in the world.
First time for us to attend the PTC, the first time, and we are very happy to be here every year. And actually, we are top 2 of the world for the submarine, for the cable business. This cable is the deep water cable. It can deploy to 8,000 meter water depths. And last year, we did a sea trial in Japan Sea. We deployed the cable to 5,000 meter water depths and recover the cable to test all the characters of the cable and the function of the cable. The cable was very good performance during the sea trial.
We're discussing network management, the ability to track both the GIS functionalities within a operator's network, but also have the tools to design and build similar to a CAD solution.
F5 provides a platform called Big IP, and it's for accelerating traffic, right? That's what we're all about. So we've been constructing artifacts on top of our platform that help accelerate EPC operations, so for Evolved Packet Core. So we work with service providers around the world, particularly wireless 3GPP service providers.
Why are you here?
Well, because we like Hawaii. Not only that, we also like service providers.
Kelly Timberski from Denton's, actually based in the Dubai office in the UAE. We're here today to make some connections at PTC.
Aloha, Kelly Lopez with Alston Hunt Floyd & Ing. We're an affiliate of Denton's, and we're here to help identify ways that perhaps here in Hawaii we can help with the work that Denton's wants to engage in.
VX is a manufacturer of test instrumentation for Ethernet networks, fiber optic networks, legacy SONET and SDS networks. So we provide equipment for people to validate whether or not the network elements are working properly.
VX offers extra value to customers in its space due to the fact that their products are smaller, lighter weight, easier to use, and less expensive.
We are 26.5 Tech Lab. We are part creative, part consultancy. You can see a lot of our work here. We helped rebrand PTC as well as the PTC conference, so everything you see is done by 26.5 Tech Lab.
So you're going to provide us free a couple of small smoothies just to keep us going, right?
Of course.
See the way he pours that? It's beautiful. See the consistency? That's Miko from Miko's Refreshments. What about Irish coffee? Do you have Irish coffee? For the Irish people?
Not at this time, but I'll look into it for you.
It's really a tremendous amenity, I must say. That, The smoothies over there and the coffee over here. This is wonderful. It's a fiesta.
Well, not quite, but it's something that they do that not other conventions do, and we've been doing it for years.
Discussing our networks and find out if there's a good partnership and a fit between our two companies, and specifically at the moment we're talking about MPLS and NNIs and portals, connectivity. Yeah.
We're here basically networking, get to know other industry, people in the industry. Try to get a bit of exposure ourselves.
Melbourne, Sydney, what?
Melbourne.
I'm going there next week. Yeah.
Oh, good.
I'm going to Tasmania, Hobart.
Oh, yeah.
You been there? What do you think?
Yeah.
I think Melbourne's a fantastic place. You'll have a great time.
Yeah, thank you very much. What are you doing at PTC? What do you hope to achieve here?
I think for us it's about developing the relationships. Australia's quite far from most part of the world. So for us, if we can develop some relationships that will help us, but obviously help potential partners, that's also a good opportunity for us.
I don't know if anyone ever aspires to be in sales. There's often just lots of money in it. So I kept my sales guy. I kept looking at him like, what's the difference between I can do that? So I said, I don't know. Yeah, that's how it happened. I don't like to admit that I'm in sales, but I am. Yeah.
Your secret is now public.
Edit that.
Arbor Networks, yes. So we protect websites against cyber attacks, denial of service attacks. A lot of service providers use us, and a lot of great content delivery companies, Amazon, Google, Apple. So yeah.
Business must be great now.
Business is booming, and sadly, it's going to get worse.
Be able to tell me who's doing it?
Yes. It will give you destination, it'll give you origin, it'll give you what data they're trying to exfiltrate, all the above, absolutely.
Because I think one of the things the world collectively needs to do is to find them and prosecute them, and we haven't done enough of that. So if you can find them, that's the first step.
Exactly, and so the goal then would be to take all that information, pass it to local authorities, national authorities, defense authorities, and build a dossier of who orchestrated the attacks, what were they trying to go after, and it's a very hard trick to be able to prove it out because everything's IP based, and if you don't have the IP address itself, then chances are, you're looking at a spoofed IP anyway. So it's hard to actually nail down the perpetrators.
I read recently that China, in its clampdown on thinking, if you will, Xi Jinping is doing that now, requires everybody to be anonymous rather than anonymous. You can't be anonymous on the net, and if you are, that's an offense. So I wonder if you think that might be a solution over time.
That is, and then another solution that the Chinese do specifically is they limit the traffic within the country. So in other words, you can't send data to another part of the world without touching some sort of Chinese governmental overwatch. So they, in a closed network environment, would more than likely be kind of the only way to truly protect is to have everything kind of go through them before it goes out to the rest of the world, which is somewhat problematic if you're a free country.
What are you doing here, Henry?
This is a critical telecommunications conference. It's very important for the future of Hawaii.
Data center, you spell it CENTRE. What does that mean?
You're putting me on the spot. So I think we played it off our product's name, which is the E-Center. And essentially, it's a modular way of building data centers. It's industrializing the way one builds data centers across the world.
KDDI from Japan.
Yeah.
Yep. We do a lot of business from mobile phone services in Japan market.
Yeah. As you'll know, fiber optics are what connect the world. It's not satellites anymore. So it's very important that these cables remain functional. The amount of data that's being put through them, financial transactions, medical information, anything you can think of transits these cables. So we've got some specifically designed software that monitors vessel activity around the assets. We can determine from that vessel activity, and using our algorithms within the software, whether it's a risk or not.
So the red lines in the middle are the cables. So here we've got some fictitious cables connecting the islands. The coloured areas around the cables are protection zones. So we load the cables in, create some protection zones around them, and then create rules within those protection zones which tell us how we're going to analyse the vessel behaviour.
These cables, if terrorists want to use to damage them, or Russia, or whoever, Iran, whatever you want, they're not going to damage the cables because these cables are their main means of communication as well. Yeah, they can't rig your elections unless those cables are working,
TSI, actually, we are resellers focused on the infrastructure automation world. So we help large companies and anybody that has a lab or infrastructure lab to do the lifecycle management of that.
Yeah, so Colocation Northwest, we're located in the Seattle region. We've got a 57,000 square foot facility there.
You guys are all from the same organization, is that it?
We are. He's from Hawaiian Tel.
Hawaiian Tel.
We're from IT&E in Saipan in Guam.
Satellite was first across the Pacific, and now the fiber is coming in. But you still need satellite. For example, FSM, Federated States of Micronesia, and Marshall Islands, they are on the Hantru fiber. And that was blanked out for about 6 weeks this time last year. And we provided connectivity so that even though they used to be on fiber, businesses and home people and mobile phones all still operated at a pretty decent level of connectivity.
We worry a lot about climate change. You worry about extreme storms. Look what happened in, what was it, Maria and Puerto Rico, Fiji. So in a case like that, satellite communication is going to save your okole, so to speak.
That's correct. And one of the things people should look at is having small VSAT networks to coordinate beforehand. You've got to prepare for disasters. So coordinate beforehand. A good example would be Saipan off Guam. The gentleman here is from Saipan, and they're talking about it at this conference. What happened in Saipan was they had a microwave link to Guam that enabled them to communicate, but a big storm had come down and knocked out the microwave towers. Then, before they could repair the microwave towers, another storm came along and knocked out the links. So they had nothing, and they had to charter an airplane and fly one of those satellite handsets over so they could communicate people and say, this is how we're going to get you back connected to the communities. So that was a case of where that island was not prepared for fiber cut or microwave cut. They went completely in the dark. Flights couldn't happen. They couldn't get the tourists out because the airlines couldn't issue the boarding pass.
What are you talking about today as a speaker then?
Well, actually, I'm going to talk about something called intermediary platforms, the Facebooks, the Googles, and sort of assessing what are the consequences both downstream to end users but also upstream to content providers. Interesting fact point, Google and Facebook represent as much as 80% of the journalistic product in the world, yet they employ not one journalists. Now that's an interesting anomaly. What is that going to do to journalism, the First Amendment? I have an academic background, but I also have an applied background, and it raises all sorts of questions that people aren't necessarily asking, and the answers aren't necessarily clear.
I am here to support the organization. I'm a member of the board now and have been part of the supporting foundation group, if you will, of the PTC for many, many years. But I'm also here to do business, meet with colleagues in the satellite industry, which is my sector, and reconnect with other folks that I've met over the years, from all sorts of different sectors, which is the value I get from PTC particularly. It's not so much, I can go other places and find a lot of satellite people, but here it's a chance for me to talk to people from all sorts of different sectors and learn things.
You're speaking about artificial intelligence then?
Yes, I am.
What can you give us a précis of what you're going to say?
Well, basically I'm going to talk about what it really is. It's a lot of times it's characterized as being something that replaces what humans do, like recognizing faces in pictures or speaking to computers, speaking in human language. But what it really is basically a statistical technique which analyzes data and gets that implication. So it goes far beyond what humans do. Just to give an example, for example, Google has talked about using machine learning to improve the power consumption of its data centers. So obviously a human could not possibly look at that huge amount of data that the computer did and extract those implications. So the key thing then is what's going on now with artificial intelligence is something called machine learning using something called deep neural nets. And obviously by the name of it, you can see that it seems to be something that was inspired by what humans do. So that, in that sense, you could call it artificial intelligence.
Well, what a visit to PTC this year, 2018. It's bigger and better than ever. It's really it's a national and an international gathering place for the telecommunications industry and also for the internet industry. And to hear about artificial intelligence and all the new things that are happening in the internet and in the hardware and software for telecommunications in general around the world, it's really thrilling. It's a great time to be alive.
There were many international companies and visitors. We asked them what they were doing and why they were attending the conference. Some were old friends who look each other up every year at PTC. Some had come for the first time to learn about the latest developments.
PTC is a remarkable Hawaii-centric achievement and phenomenon. It was founded here and has had its conference here for all these years. PTC belongs to Hawaii and has made Hawaii a global center for telecom.
This helps us in many ways. It's obvious how valuable PTC is for our visitor industry, for local business, and for Hawaii's struggling reputation as a place to do international business. For the future, Hawaii needs more conferences like PTC.
It is clearly in Hawaii's interest to support PTC and other global conferences like this. We want to be a hub in Asia Pacific. We want to be a tech, telecom, and business destination for the world, and PTC can show us how. Check it out at ptc.org.
And now let's take a look at our ThinkTech calendar of events going forward.
There's so much happening in Hawaii. Sometimes things happen under the radar and we don't hear much about them. But ThinkTech will take you there.
Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on Spectrum OC18 several times every week to stay current on what's happening in government, industry, academia, and communities around the islands and the world.
ThinkTech broadcasts its daily talk shows live on the internet from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays. Then we broadcast our earlier shows all night long and on the weekends.
If you missed a show, or if you want to replay or share our shows, they're all archived on demand on thinktechhawaii.com and YouTube. The audio is on thinktechhawaii.com/audio, and we post podcasts of all our shows on iTunes.
Visit thinktechhawaii.com for our weekly calendar and live stream and YouTube links, or sign up on our email list and get the daily docket of our upcoming shows.
ThinkTech has a high-tech green screen First Amendment studio at Pioneer Plaza. If you want to join our live audience or participate in our shows, write to shows@thinktechhawaii.com.
Give us a thumbs up on YouTube or send us a tweet at ThinkTechHI. We'd like to know how you feel about the issues and events that affect our lives together in these islands and in this country. We want to stay in touch with you, and we'd like you to stay in touch with us. Let's think together.
And yes, you can call in to our talk shows live. While you're watching any of our shows, you can call in to 808-374-2014 and pose a question or participate in the discussion.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of ThinkTech. But first, we want to thank our underwriters.
The Atherton Family Foundation, Castle and Cook, Hawaii. The Center for Microbial Oceanography Research and Education, Collateral Analytics, the Cook Foundation, the Hawaii Council of Associations of Apartment Owners, Hawaii Energy, the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, the Hawaii Institute of Geophysics and Planetology, Hawaiian Electric Companies, the High Tech Development Corporation, Galen Ho of BAE Systems, Integrated Security Technologies, Kamehameha Schools, Dwayne Carisu, Carol Mon Lee and the Friends of ThinkTech, MW Group Limited, the Scheidler Family Foundation, the Sidney Stern Memorial Trust, the Volo Foundation, Yuriko J. Sugimura.
Okay, Nicole, that wraps up this week's edition of ThinkTech. Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on Spectrum OC18 several times every week. Can't get enough of it, just like Nicole does. For additional times, check out oc16.tv.
For lots more ThinkTech videos and for underwriting and sponsorship opportunities on ThinkTech, visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a guest or a host, a producer or an intern, and help us reach and have an impact on Hawaii.
Thanks so much for being part of our ThinkTech family and for supporting our open discussion of tech, energy, diversification, and global awareness in Hawaii. You can watch this show throughout the week and tune in next Sunday evening for our next important weekly episode. I'm Elise Anderson.
And I'm Nicole Horry. Aloha, everyone.